Hello, this is a quote from Vladimir Lenin. Learning is never done without errors and defeat. Learning is never done without errors and defeat. One Tai Chi classmate told me, invest in loss. And he was an advanced student compared to myself. He had been there 2 years when I got there. And he could push me and gently put me down on the floor very easily. And then he told me something encouraging. He said, other students used to do that to me when I first got here. Now I do it to you. But keep learning, Daniel. And keep practicing with me. Eventually I will not be able to throw you down on the floor. You will improve. And he said everybody should practice with somebody that knows more. And so for him, he had to find somebody to go practice with. Push hands exercises. I loved them because they were gentle. So now I'm going to talk to you about the movie Detachment with Mr. Brody, Brody. He's a young man that plays a role. He's the actual movie star, actor. And in this movie, Brody, in this movie, it's called Detachment, and he plays the role of a substitute teacher, which I used to be. And the spouse has worked as a substitute teacher, and I asked her, go see with your own eyes the high school. But she was terrified, so she never went. She stayed with up to 4th grade, I think, was the highest grade she taught, or the word is really babysit. So it's a sad movie in the sense that all the kids, like for parents' night, only one parent showed up. So this tells you how sad the world is. But what he and the teacher, Mr. Brody, he tells his students, the world is messed up. Everybody has problems. Even the principal, yes, she's powerful at school. However, she was being fired, and they told her, go away nicely, or we will find something bad about you. And at the same time, she said, it's not my fault the grades have dropped. This was a good school, but you put in all of the bad students in here. And then they just ruined every single class. So what happened with her, I believe that was her last year. And her husband, now there's a scene I liked. He said, remember that trip in Europe when I honeymoon or something and I bought you this vase? And how sweet it was. And he looks at the vase. And then what had happened was she had come home from work and he wanted to be romantic. I'll put it that way. And she rejected him because she's thinking about her problems at work. And so what happened next was he said, remember this beautiful vase I bought you when we were in Europe? And he was smiling, looking at it. And then he let it fall and it broke. So that showed you how rough her home life was. Everybody there had a rough life. My life is better because God gave me a spouse and kids, particularly the kids, especially my son. We're not supposed to have favorites, but what happens is you get along better with the one that is most like you, the one that is more respectful. Like, even, was it Joseph that got thrown in Egypt? Uh, in the Bible, Joseph had 11 brothers, maybe 12. I'm not sure how many really. And they threw him in a well. They didn't like him because the father had given him a coat, because Joseph was just the dreamer, the one with the dreams, and he could interpret the dreams. He became second to the Pharaoh in Egypt. He also spent time in a jail. So, yes, I spent time in a hospital jail. Technically, if I ever apply for a job, have you ever been arrested? No. Uh, However, once they look into my record, they'll probably say, no, you have never been arrested, but you've been Baker acted twice. And I'll tell him, I have not done anything illegal. And it's true. You could be Baker acted for simple reasons. So, I don't advise you to go to marriage counseling except if it's religious, and they are not allowed to diagnose, as far as, like, it's not a doctor that's also a pastor. It's got to be a pastor that is not a medical doctor that cannot diagnose you, all right? Once they diagnose you as bipolar or whatever name they label you with, then you're going to have problems, because all they want to do is medicate you. Some of my pills, they cost $1,000. I was like, what? This is interesting. $1,000? I mean, it doesn't bother me because everything belongs to God. And so for some reason, I don't even know why I get Medicaid. Originally, I thought it was because they thought I was my spouse's son. Maybe. You know, they didn't look at my age and probably goofed up on the paperwork. And so for a while, I didn't even go to the doctor because I said, nah, they're going to say that I'll see the doctor, and then they say, Medicaid won't pay because you don't have Medicaid. I said, I really do have Medicaid? That's amazing. How come everybody doesn't have Medicaid? I don't know. How come I have Medicaid? I don't know. So, the movie Detachment. I had a coworker once that did the same thing as what the actor did. The actor took in a girl that was a prostitute to his apartment. And at the end of the movie, he calls DCF to come give her a home. And he does go visit her, which was weird because they're strangers. I mean, they're technically strangers, or they're friends. Friends don't have, what are you doing talking to a child? They're friends. What's a grown man talking to? If you're over 18 and you're talking to somebody that's, well, maybe you won't get in trouble if they're only 17, but if they're 16 and you're a grown man, what are you talking to a girl that's 16? So in that movie, he took her in. He never had sex with her. He took her to see the doctor. He gave her food. He told her to take a shower, things like that. And then she answered the phone and she went to visit his dad that was in a nursing home. Grandpa, I think. So my friend, co-worker, I liked him because he was into Taekwondo, I think it was. And he mentioned that one time he took in two girls that were homeless. And he said they were 11 years old. He said, nah, you're not as old as you are. How old are you? And they said that they didn't have a place to stay. Would they let them? And sometimes when they catch you like that, you're not thinking you're going to jail. You know, because they could easily say he tried to touch me, you know, or whatever reason. And so he said, nah, he felt like an older brother for them, and he was like, they have a sad story. But then he said they started smoking cigarettes, and they started going in and out of his apartment, and they scared him. He said, you know, if a neighbor sees them, he'll probably think, he started thinking after he already had said, all right, you could stay here. So that was weird. One time, I spoke with non-emergency number, the sheriff, and I said, is it illegal for me to give a ride to my son's classmate, a girl, going on the bus to school? And they said, no, it's not illegal. And I said, wait a minute. All right, what happened was my spouse gave them a ride. The bus didn't come. And then I was like, no. When I found out, I was riding a bicycle, but they had already left on the car. Yeah, the car was faster than the bicycle. And I said, when she came back, I said, never do that. That girl could say, oh, she tried to touch my vagina or whatever, and then my spouse goes to jail. I don't know anything about the law, except that it's dangerous. I'm like, never do that. I'm like, the bus doesn't come, the bus doesn't come. So, well, the bus has come every day now, but I just don't want to be in that situation. All right, so the movie Detachment. Oh, everybody should see it. Another one that I've seen is a documentary called Waiting for Superman. It's about the schools and how horrible they are in other parts of the country, United States. However, I see a movie or a documentary. It's a good movie for me because it explains why I want to homeschool. But the spouse, who in the United States has more power than I do because she's a woman. And if you ever get divorced, then the women get the custody. So that's another reason I don't work. So I won't have to pay alimony. Oh, I haven't worked in 7 years, Your Honor. Then he'll either see me as a clown or some kind of rip-off artist, but I'll freeloader. But I'll tell him, if it gets me a chance to talk, my mother and spouse, they work, and I am a stay-at-home dad. I mean, who's home when the kids, or my mother doesn't work, but she has money. Who's home with the kids after school? And then I've heard arguments from the spouse. She says, oh, they can stay at school until 6 o'clock. And then I say, is that better? Is that a better lifestyle for our kids? So, it isn't. My first wife, she told me that she only lets her husband stay at home, her first husband, because of the daughter that they have together. So she said, but we're done. And eventually he moved on, he left. Everybody's guilty of some sin, right? I have a bunch, probably twice as many as most people. Maybe not. Why am I so public? Well, I grew up with so many secrets, and I was told to be silent. But now, I figured that most people can learn something. Enjoy your life.